Discover the incredible journey of a hidden talent, 7 life-changing acting skills revealed. Sarah's fingers trembled as she unfolded the audition flyer she'd found in the break room of the grocery store. Her heart raced. It took her back to a time when the world held endless possibilities, when she dreamt of dancing under the bright stage lights. But that was long ago, buried beneath bills, responsibilities, and the relentless weight of survival in Maplewood. As a single mother to Emily, those childhood dreams felt like a distant echo. Every day, she put on a brave face, smiling through fatigue as she stocked shelves and rang up groceries, keeping her small world afloat on little more than sheer willpower. And yet, in Emily's bright eyes danced a spark of hope and ambition, a longing for more, a theater, a stage, a story to tell. "Mom, can I audition?" Emily's voice, filled with excitement, broke through Sarah's reflections. The girl's passion hit Sarah like a wave, bringing both pride and sorrow. How could she, in all their struggle, entertain such fantasies? Yet, watching Emily grip that hope so tightly made her wonder what if she could nurture this dream. Her heart expanded with each thought as she decided to join in. With only a reluctant sigh, Sarah embraced supporting Emily. She sewed costumes, painted sets, and helped bring the scripts to life as rehearsals unfolded. And something profound happened within her. With every stitch, every paint stroke, she began to rediscover herself. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach seriously. It makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. But every moment of creativity came with its challenges. Mr. Jenkins Maplewood's wealthy landowner towered in the way of their laughter and dreams, scoffing at the theater in a town meeting. What a waste of time. This town should focus on real work. His contempt dripped from every word, making Sarah's stomach twist into knots. The audience murmured. People shifted uneasily in their seats. Would the whisper snuff out Emily's fire? Yet, Sarah chose to rise instead of crumble. Fueled by her daughter's enthusiasm, she rallied the town friends, neighbors, all who believed in dreams worth pursuing. Bake sales transformed into mini fundraisers, and each event ignited a flicker of hope in the community. Despite the odds, Emily's fearless zest pushed Sarah into a role she'd never expected to play, that of a leader, uniting the small-town spirits behind a shared purpose. As the weeks of rehearsals danced by, Sarah struggled with her insecurities, feeling the weight of the world against her. She slumped in the shadows, but Emily's persistent encouragement kept nudging her forward. And this chimney, unlike her dreams, resolved to claim her spot on that stage. When opening night arrived, she stood backstage, a tangle of nerves and excitement coursing through her. Familiar faces filled the seats. Would this be enough? Would this night shatter Jenkins' cold taunts and reveal the heart of Maplewood? The stage lights illuminated her as she stepped out, and in that moment, everything shifted. The performance felt like reclaiming lost pieces of herself, releasing emotions long withheld. As the first applause shattered the tension in the air, Sarah's pulse quickened with fierce hope. She'd found her voice, But would they acknowledge the power resonating within their community? The final notes rang out, and with them endless possibilities stretched before her. The echoes of her journey began to reverberate, urging her onwards, leaving her breathless and anxious about the challenges that still awaited. The applause was thunderous, a wave crashing against the walls of the small auditorium, wrapping Sarah in warmth. She stood frozen for a moment, absorbing every clap, every cheer, feeling as if she'd floated out of herself and into the hearts of the audience. Achi that moment, any fear that had crept in just days before vanished like fog, burned away by the morning sun. But just as quickly as the applause began to taper off, a nagging doubt clawed at her insides. What now? She had tasted the thrill of the stage, and the taste was intoxicating. Yet, would this be a fleeting moment, or the beginning of something profound? Sarah's heart raced as she stepped off the stage, the lingering buzz of excitement slowly being replaced by a palpable reality she knew she couldn't let the fire extinguish. As she rejoined Emily in the wings, her daughter beamed, a reflection of the hope that had ignited their journey. "You did it, Mom. You were amazing," Emily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling brighter than the stage lights. "Thanks, sweetheart." "But you were the one who inspired this," Sarah replied, brushing a stray hair from Emily's forehead. In that instant, a palpable connection blossomed between them. They were partners, bound by an extraordinary shared experience. Together, they had unearthed not just a passion for performance, but a lifeline in each other. They spent the following days basking in the afterglow of their success. But the subtle concerns lingered. Mr. Jenkins still loomed over their dreams, casting a shadow. Would he lock their tiny dream back in a box, chaining it with sighs and disdain? Sarah took a deep breath when she spotted Emily sketching on a notepad, her small brow furrowed in concentration. "What are you making, Em?" "A poster for next year's show. We should keep doing this." "We can show them." Emily grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. Encouraged by her daughter's unwavering spirit, Sarah felt a surge of optimism. "Next year sounds perfect," she said, a smile spreading across her face. But as much as she wanted to believe, fear crept back in. Could they take on the challenge of making this a regular event? Could they really change the perception of their small town? As days passed, Sarah and Emily began gathering ideas. Sipping cocoa late at night, they brainstormed plays and musicals, inviting neighbors to share in vivid conversations about art, storytelling, and community. With every idea, Sarah's heart swelled. This could be just the spark Maplewood needed. But trouble was brewing. Word spread of their endeavors, and one evening, Sarah found herself confronted by a group of dissenters. Residents worried about what the arts might take away, a threat to their routine, to their stability. "Art won't feed people," one of the men grumbled, arms crossed like a fortress guarding against change. "But it can inspire them," Emily exclaimed, her voice surprisingly steady for one so young. Sarah's heart swelled with pride. As conversations ignited debates, Sarah felt the warmth of conflict radiate in the air. Amidst the worry, determination possessed her. "I know change is often scary, but together we can find ways to include everyone to make it worthwhile," she stressed, her own voice trembling with fervor. She could see they were listening, and for the first time, a flicker of hope flickered in the eyes of the skeptics. That night, Sarah lay awake, wrestling with new fears, the possibility that she could fail in her quest, that she might put her family's dreams on the line. What if she couldn't rally Maplewood? But that concern was offset by an undeniable truth. Her heart wouldn't let her walk away now. She was ready to dig deeper, to fight harder for both her dreams and Emily's. Unbeknownst to Sarah, the powerful tide of community spirit was gaining strength. Her resolve was stirring the souls of neighbors, friends, and even the most hardened critics. But would it be enough to tip the scales? Would Mr. Jenkins attempt to stifle the arts again, or could Sarah's light break through the darkness? As a new day dawned, she faced the reality ahead with both excitement and apprehension. Would they rise like the phoenix, or would fear drag them back into silence? Sarah knew they were on the brink of something monumental. She could feel it in her bones. And so, gripping Emily's hand tight, she took a step forward, ready to lead them into the next chapter of their lives. But the question nagged, could united hope sway the heart of Maplewood, or would they all face another fierce battle for their dreams? The morning light streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating the remnants of yesterday's excitement. Sarah stood by the stove, a kettle bubbling softly, swirling thoughts in her mind as she prepared breakfast. The aroma of fresh pancakes filled the air, but her heart felt heavy. The weight of the town's skepticism bore down on her, yet Emily's laughter echoed in the background like a melody of hope. "Mom, can we practice our lines after breakfast?" Emily asked, her eyes wide with anticipation, cutting through Sarah's haze of uncertainty. "Of course, sweetheart," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. As they sat down to eat, every bite tasted sweeter, infused with the thrill of possibility. After breakfast, the duo transformed their living room into a makeshift rehearsal space. Through laughter and shouts, they honed their lines, their energy vibrant and infectious. But as Sarah watched Emily recite her parts, a tiny voice in her head whispered doubts. Was any of this enough to convince the residents that arts were worth their time? Suddenly, the doorbell rang. With a rush of apprehension, Sarah opened it to find Mrs. Thompson, a longtime resident and teacher at the town's elementary school. "Hello, Sarah. I heard your last performance was remarkable," she said, her eyes twinkling with genuine admiration. "I wanted to see how I can help." Sarah's heart warmed. "Thank you. We're trying to start something special for the community, but..." Mrs. Thompson nodded knowingly. "I understand. The arts can often feel like a delicate seed, but they can bloom into something extraordinary." Encouraged, Sarah leaned forward, her voice tinged with enthusiasm. "We want to put on more shows, involve everyone, bring the community together." Mrs. Thompson smiled, a spark igniting in her eyes. "I believe many would support this. Let's build a team. We can reach out to people. Host meetings would be incredible." With newfound resolve, Sarah began to sketch out a plan, her mind racing with possibilities. Emily, meanwhile, scribbled ideas on a notepad nearby, the pages filling with dreams and hopes. But as they made progress, the shadows of doubt began to morph into tangible challenges. They organized their first community meeting in the town's library, and as the day approached, Sarah's stomach twisted in nervous knots. Would anyone show up? And if they did, what would they say? On the evening of the meeting, Emily clutched her mother's hand tightly as they stood outside the library. "Remember what we talked about, Mom. It's okay to feel scared, but we believe in our dreams." Sarah could feel a wave of warmth from her daughter's words. As the clock struck 6, people began trickling in. Some faces were familiar, while others were new. The room buzzed with nervous energy, and Sarah's heart raced. "Thank you all for coming," she started, her voice trembling but filled with determination. "Art brings us together, inspires us in ways we can't even imagine. It helps the heart to dream." Just as she began to share her vision, Mr. Jenkins walked in, his presence a looming cloud. "Art's in our town," he scoffed, crossing his arms as he surveyed the room. "This isn't a theater district. We have more important things to focus on." A hush fell over the crowd, tension tightening around Sarah's chest. She felt the weight of judgment, ready to crush her spirit, but then a hand rose from the back. It was Mrs. Thompson. "Mr. Jenkins," she said firmly, "while we may have responsibilities, we also have a duty to nourish our souls. We must provide a space for creativity." More voices joined in, lifting a chorus of support that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. With each word of encouragement, her confidence built. Would the community rally behind them? Could they break down the barriers Mr. Jenkins represented? The air crackled with possibilities, and Sarah's heart raced with hope. But the journey ahead loomed large, each new challenge threatening to silence their budding aspirations. As Sarah glanced at her daughter, she knew they were on the brink of an incredible fight for their dreams. Could they truly harness the spirit of Maplewood, or would doubt quiet their voices once more? The meeting room was alive with chatter. Amid the mix of encouragement and hesitation, Sarah's heart beat faster. Would Mr. Jenkins dominate the conversation, or could they turn this tide of doubt into one of support? "Let's start brainstorming ideas," someone shouted from the front. A wave of excitement washed over the room. Sarah's pulse quickened as hands shot up, each person eager to share their thoughts. She took a deep breath and encouraged the group to share even the craziest ideas. "We could host an outdoor festival," a woman exclaimed. "Food, music, and performances. It would be a perfect way to reinvigorate our community talent show. Everyone could showcase their skills." "We don't know how many hidden talents there are among us," another voice chimed in. The suggestions flowed freely, igniting Sarah's passion. She leaned into the energy, guiding the group like a conductor of a playful orchestra. Laughter bubbled up around her, relief washing over the initial tension. But all at once, Mr. Jenkins interrupted, dismissing the cheer. "This is just a dream. What about the costs and all that effort for a few moments of entertainment?" His scorn cut through the air like a bitter wind. Even amid the growing support, Sarah felt a shiver of doubt creep back. Her thoughts raced. Was this enough? She fought against those nagging worries, reminding herself of Emily's words. They were not just dreaming. They were acting. "Let's not forget why we're here," she called out, meeting Mr. Jenkins' glare with newfound resolve. "This isn't just about putting on shows. It's about healing our community, creating connections. We need an outlet. We need joy. And yes, we will face challenges, but aren't we worth it?" The room fell silent, inches from an old, ingrained belief. Sarah's voice rang with conviction, and slowly, Piopli nodded to one another. Emily's small hand squeezed hers tighter. Mrs. Thompson rose to her feet again, her steady spirit unwavering. "Remember when we had the art classes for the kids? They thrived. The joy in their eyes was priceless. Community art has value, a profound one. We owe it to ourselves to explore this path. Some in the room exchanged hopeful smiles. Sarah could feel the shift, a hesitant spark of conviction igniting again. One by one, people began to stand and share their stories of how the arts touched their lives. How it had brought laughter amid tears, or light in dark times. As the sentiments swirled within the group, Sarah's anxiety melted away, replaced by a warmth of belonging. The flow of ideas became a tidal wave, washing away the old, rigid beliefs that had stifled Maplewood for too long. The meeting concluded with plans set in motion. It would begin small, a festival planned for next month, but for Sarah, it felt monumental. She glanced at Emily, whose smile lit up the room. "Can you believe it, Mom? We're really going to do this," Emily exclaimed, her excitement infectious. They gathered their notes, and excitement buzzed in the air like electricity. As they walked out into the twinkling evening, Sarah felt a powerful surge within her. They had begun to create change not just for themselves, but for everyone. But as they reached the street, they spotted Mr. Jenkins standing by his car, arms crossed and face set in stone. "Don't think for a minute that I'll let you waste our town's resources on folly," he warned, his voice cold. Sarah stopped in her tracks, heart pounding. The challenge was far from over. Would they let fear hold them back, or could they rally together against these looming shadows? With determination boiling within their hearts, Sarah and Emily faced the night filled with dreams, radiant with promise. They were ready to fight for what they believed in. But with every endeavor, the risks multiplied. As they stepped back into the town square, shadows of doubt loomed larger. How long could they hold on to this hope before it was snuffed out? The night air was crisp, the kind that stung when it hit your cheeks, but Sarah felt warm inside. She and Emily stood together, watching the headlights of passing cars, the glow illuminating their determination. Despite Mr. Jenkins' warning, they were ready to take the next step. "Mom, what if he really tries to stop us?" Emily's voice was small, tinged with worry. Sarah knelt down to her daughter's level, forcing herself to smile reassuringly. "We'll handle it together. Remember what we talked about. Community means standing up for each other. And there are plenty of people who believe in what we're doing." The little girl nodded, though uncertainty lingered in her eyes. As they took a few steps into the square, Sarah's resolve hardened. They needed to gather support, to make it clear that Maplewood wouldn't be silenced by fear. The next morning was bright and bustling. Sarah hurried to the community center, determined to see their plans take shape. She wanted to share the energy from last night with anyone who would listen. With every step, her heart raced in anticipation. Could they really spark something bigger? Inside, a handful of volunteers were gathered, discussing logistics and how to spread the word about the upcoming festival. Sarah entered the room, her passion evident. "Everyone," she began, her excitement spilling out. "We need to channel this energy. Let's reach out to local businesses, schools, anyone who might want to be a part of this." Gina, the center's director, raised her hand. "That sounds great, but we need a way to fund it." "Do we have any sponsors lined up?" "Not yet, but we can come up with ideas," Sarah replied. The group began throwing out suggestions: bake sales, local sponsorships, even a crowdfunding campaign. The spirit was infectious, and for the first time, she felt as though they were all part of something greater. As the meeting continued, Sarah felt something shift within her. The doubt that had once clamored in her mind began to quiet down. They believed in the vision just as much as she did, and together they could achieve it. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. A familiar face the festival. And I want to help with the music. I have a few friends in a band, and they'd love to perform. Really? The room erupted in cheers. That's fantastic. As emotions flowed freely, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Could it be? Was hope finally blossoming? The doubts that had held her back began to recede further into the shadows. As the meeting drew to a close, there was a new energy, a mixture of nervousness and excitement as everyone realized the hard work ahead. They had momentum, and with it came responsibility. They were building something real, something that could transform Maplewood. Hey, we should start a Facebook group. Emily suggested, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. We can keep everyone updated and have them pitch in too. Great idea, Sarah agreed. Let's make sure everyone feels involved in this. It's their festival as much as it is ours. With plans forming and connections crystallizing, they dispersed with an air of hopeful determination. But as the last remnants of daylight faded, a shadow crossed Sarah's heart. What if Mr. Jenkins brought others in town who shared his doubts? What if he managed to make them feel small again? As she and Emily walked home hand in hand, a chill ran down her spine. Maybe they were just beginning to fight, but it felt like the real battle was yet to come. And with that thought lingering in her mind, Sarah knew they had only scratched the surface of their journey. The path ahead soon they the charak their minds. But was their hope strong enough to withstand the storm that Mr. Jenkins was brewing? The sun rose the next day, its golden rays spilling over the rooftops of Maplewood. Sarah awoke with a spark of determination surging through her. The festival wasn't just an event. It was a chance to unite and uplift everyone in their community. She glanced at Emily, still wrapped in her blankets, dreaming of all the possibilities that lay ahead. As they ate breakfast, Sarah couldn't shake off the lingering worry. Emily, even if Mr. Jenkins tries to stop us, we have to stay strong, okay? It's not just about us anymore. It's about everyone who believes in what we're doing. Promise, Mom, Emily replied, her eyes glassy with sleep but filled with resolve. We can do it. After finishing their breakfast, Sarah decided it was time to hit the ground running. She made a quick list of local businesses to contact. She had an idea. If everyone pitched in, they could show Mr. Jenkins how united Maplewood was. It wouldn't just be a festival, it would be a statement. At the community center, she gathered her notes and shared her plans with Gina and a few volunteers. What if we create a flyer? We can drop them off at every shop in town. Let's get everybody on board. Gina nodded enthusiastically, and we can have a meeting at the park next week. It will give us a chance to get feedback and more ideas. As they worked together, excitement buzzed around the room. Each new idea fueled the growing flame of hope. They were innovators, fighters, and dreamers in that tiny space, bound by a vision of transforming their town. Yet, every laugh and cheer pushed back the shadows of fear creeping in from Sarah's mind. It was then she heard a voice that, even in kindness, dripped with concern. Sarah, wait a minute, said Tom, a longtime Maplewood resident. What if Jenkins rallies his supporters? This isn't just about a festival. I know he has influence. The room fell silent, and Sarah felt the weight of his words. She looked at the faces of her friends. They were worried too. But then Emily stepped forward, eyes ablaze. He can't silence us. This is our town. A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Sarah felt antibodies form against doubt. They hadn't come this far to give up. It was their time. They just had to gather their strength. She realized they needed to reach out even more to make sure that every voice in Maplewood was amplified. After the meeting, Sarah and Emily headed out to distribute flyers. They walked through the quaint streets, lined with leafless trees and warmly lit storefronts. Each business was a familiar sight, filled with memories of community and laughter. Sarah felt the pulse of the town, the stories woven into its fabric, each corner a testament to resilience. As they knocked on doors, many greeted them with enthusiasm. "We've been waiting for something like this." A bakery owner exclaimed after Sarah explained their mission. Others were eager to contribute. But as the day wore on and the sunlight began its descent, they encountered an unexpected visitor, Mr. Jenkins. His shadow loomed over a group of merchants Sarah had been speaking to. "What's all this talk about a festival?" he asked, his voice cold and sharp. "You really think it's a good idea to waste your time on such nonsense, especially given the state of our town?" Sarah's heart raced. The air thickened with tension. Would the fear she'd been battling inside her start to creep into the hearts of those around her? With every ounce of courage, she stepped forward. "Yes, Mr. Jenkins, we do believe it's worth the effort. Maplewood needs a reason to come together, now more than ever." His eyes narrowed, assessing her every word. "You think you can turn things around, huh?" "I know we can," Sarah replied, her voice steady despite the quivering in her heart. "But we are stronger together, and you can't stop us." As his gaze lingered, Sarah felt the stirrings of doubt from earlier turn into swirling courage. Maybe this was the moment they needed to face. "What will you do?" he finally hissed, stepping closer. A silence settled, pregnant with anticipation. Sarah felt the crowd around them tensing up, yet hope flickered in her chest. Just then, Emily tugged on her sleeve. "Mom, let's show him." And as they turned together, a new sense of unity filled the air. A storm might come, but they were ready. The battle for Maplewood had only just begun, and everyone would have to make a choice. A choice between standing strong together or falling apart. What would they choose as the shadows grew longer? Sarah could feel her pulse quickening, the beat echoing in her ears as Mr. Jenkins's presence, cold and imposing, hung in the air. The weight of his challenge pressed down on her, but the warmth of Emily's small hand on her arm reminded her of their bond, their shared dream for Maplewood. "Let's show him, Mom," Emily whispered. In those simple words, Sarah saw not just her daughter's confidence, but the unyielding spirit of their community reflected back at her. The small crowd that had gathered shifted uneasily, torn between fear and hope. Sarah squared her shoulders, knowing they needed to act. "We'll organize a meeting for the festival in the park next week," she declared, her voice ringing with clarity. "You all can come and share your ideas. Let's invite everyone in Maplewood to join us." Jenkins scoffed, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. You think a few flyers and a meeting will make a difference? This town is mine to control. Sarah, I made it what it is today. The crowd began to murmur, uncertainty creeping in. A thick fog of doubt was settling in. Sarah couldn't let fear extinguish the spark she felt in her bones. No one person can own this town, she countered, glancing at each face around her. Maplewood belongs to all of us. And together, we can create something beautiful. As if ignited by her words, the onlookers began to straighten their spines. Several nodded in agreement, their resolve slowly building. They recognized their power Mr. Jenkins had underestimated. Let's do this for our kids, our future, said Tom, stepping forward. I'm in. Sarah couldn't suppress a smile as she felt the tide shifting. Others chimed in, each voice adding to the chorus. Count me in. I've got ideas. This town is worth fighting for. Mr. Jenkins shifted uncomfortably, his bravado waning. You think this is just about you? He spat. What about all the problems we have? The economy, the taxes. You want to throw a festival while the town is breaking. We are the solution, Emily declared, matching her gaze with Jenkins's. If we stand together, we can tackle the real issues, but we need a reason to begin. That's what the festival is for. You could see the rumble of support echo through the crowd, their collective voices growing bolder. This wasn't just about a festival anymore. It was about pride, identity, and their future. Defiant, Sarah locked eyes with Mr. Jenkins. This isn't just an event for fun. It's a chance to reawaken our community. To show what Maplewood truly represents: resilience, creativity, and unity. The atmosphere crackled with energy. Jenkins's expression hardened, but Sarah could sense the shift within him. Maybe he didn't fully grasp the storm that was developing as the people rallied around her. With a tilt of his head, Jenkins replied, So you want to play this game? Fine. We'll see how many support you when the tides turn. Then, as quickly as he appeared, he turned and stalked away, leaving a lingering tension in the air. But it didn't last long. The crowd erupted in cheers and laughter, arms raised in solidarity. Let's start planning the best festival Maplewood has ever seen, Sarah yelled, her heart swelling. They were ready to embrace their power and creativity. As they moved forward, people's worries faded into laughter, plans, and shared ideas. But deep inside, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Jenkins wouldn't stop there. He wouldn't just watch them celebrate their unity. He would fight back. Later, as they gathered around a table at the community center to brainstorm their next steps, Sarah felt an electric anticipation. What if they included live music, local talent, and stories from the heart of Maplewood? She couldn't wait to see it all grow. But as they jotted down ideas and dreams, the door swung open once more, and a familiar face walked in, one with the power to disrupt everything. Did someone mention trouble? Said Carla, the town's journalist, a mischievous glint in her eye. I think you might want to know about what Jenkins is planning. The room fell silent, and Sarah felt the air grow heavy with suspense. What trouble could Jenkins be brewing to sabotage everything they had worked for? Now, it was clear. The fight for Maplewood was far from over. What was Jenkins scheming this time? Carla leaned against the doorframe, a ferocity in her gaze that stirred both anxiety and curiosity in the room. Sarah's heart raced, wondering if Jenkins was plotting an even more brazen attack on their hopes for the festival. "Okay, spill it," Sarah urged, her tone more demanding than she intended. "What does he have up his sleeve?" Everyone in the room leaned in closer, their collective breaths held, waiting for the news that could set their plans on fire or extinguish them entirely. "Word has it Jenkins is trying to rally some of the local businesses," Carla began, her voice low and serious. "He's threatening them with higher taxes if they support your festival. He wants them to pull any funding they might contribute." Gasps erupted around the table. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't just a petty power struggle. This was personal. The townsfolk depended on these businesses. If Jenkins succeeded, it could cripple their momentum. "He can't do that," Tom exclaimed, slamming his fist lightly against the table. "This place is about community. We won't let him bully us." "Sure he can," Carla replied, her eyes narrowing slightly, "and he knows how to play dirty. If he spreads fear, many will turn their backs. People will protect their livelihoods." Just as Sarah was about to respond, Emily, with her petite stature, stood up, her voice ringing clear above the murmurs of concern. "But his tactics are wrong. If we all support each other now, we can show that fear won't control Maplewood. We need to stand together in this, like you said, Mom." The crowd shifted, their expressions transforming from concern to determination. Sarah felt warmth bloom in her chest as she watched her daughter take charge. It sank in. This fight was more than just about a festival. It was about the values they held dear. She glanced at Carla, who seemed caught off guard by Emily's words. "We can't give in to fear," she said. "We need to spin the narrative, show everyone what Maplewood can achieve. We can leverage social media, highlight local stories of resilience and unity. Let's do an event leading up to the festival. A rally, something big," Todd suggested, his eyes alight with excitement. "If we gather people, we can showcase local businesses and talents. Make Jenkins look like the bad guy he really is." "Yes," Sarah cheered, the spark in the room reigniting. "An event that nobody can ignore. Everyone from Maplewood can come together, show what they stand for, and make it clear that we won't be intimidated." The ideas soon flowed like wildfire. Someone suggested a talent show featuring locals, while another called for a community art project. Laughter and voices crescendoed, wrapping around Sarah like a warm embrace. Each suggestion propelled them closer to the vision they knew they all shared. But as excitement buzzed, Sarah felt the familiar twinge of doubt. Was it enough? Jenkins was ruthless, and he had influence. Could they really rally the town against him? "You know, he won't sit back and watch this unfold," Carla reminded them, her brows furrowing. "He'll fight back," Sarah acknowledged. "But we have something he doesn't. Heart. And we can move with that heart in numbers." She looked at her daughter and then around at the faces illuminated by hope. Yet, in the back of her mind, a nagging fear lingered. What if this new, rallying cry just fueled the fire of Jenkins's ruthless ambitions? A knock on the door pulled her from her thoughts. The crowd turned to see who it was, and the air thickened again as a shadow fell across the doorway. There stood Mr. Jenkins, a smug smile plastered across his face. Well, if it isn't the Maplewood Dream Team," he said, crossing his arms. "I hear you're stirring up quite the buzz. Mind if I join in?" You're going to need a real plan if you think you can take me down. The tension in the room skyrocketed, and Sarah's heart sank. What did he want now? Could he really undermine their plans even before they took flight? Because this was just the beginning. And Sarah knew the battle for Maplewood was far from over. What would be his next move? The room held its breath, the atmosphere thick with tension as Jenkins stepped further inside. His presence casting a long shadow over their newfound resolve. Sarah steadied herself, placing a hand on the back of her chair as if seeking support from its sturdy form. She could feel the eyes of her friends and neighbors drilling into her, waiting for her to respond. Join in. She echoed, her voice trembling just slightly. What exactly do you mean by that? Jenkins chuckled, a dry and humorless sound that grated against the hope swirling in the air. Oh, you know. I thought I might lend my expertise. It's not every day you folks dream big, and I wouldn't want to see you crash down to hard when reality hits. Tom glared at him, clenching his fists on the table. We don't need your help, Jenkins. We're doing just fine without your twisted advice. Oh, I'm sure you are, Jenkins smirked, leaning in closer, his voice now a whisper. But remember, I have connections. People who will listen to someone like me instead of an amateur festival team. A wave of unease rippled through the group. Sarah swallowed hard, trying to keep the words from escaping her lips. She couldn't let him rattle them. Listen, Jenkins, she said, trying to sound defiant. What we're doing here isn't about connections or threats. It's about our town, our community. You can't scare us into submission. He raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. Scared? No, I don't think you're scared. Just naive. He straightened up, crossing his arms again, the picture of false confidence. Leave it to me, Sarah. When the dust settles, you'll see how tough it can really be out there. You have no idea how just a little pressure can change someone's tune. Keep pushing, and you might find out how tough we really are. Emily jumped in, her small form bursting with determination. The child of their struggle, she couldn't sit back and let the grown-ups take all the heat. Jenkins looked taken aback for a moment before he regained composure. Ah, the future generation. Adorable. But just to be clear, if you keep up this little parade, you might just bring down everyone around you. All of Maplewood. His gaze swept the room, daring them to flinch. As his words sunk in, a silence enveloped them, thick and heavy. Sarah could see the flicker of doubt flash across some of her friends' faces, but she wasn't ready to give in. Reminding herself how far they had already come, she took a deep breath. Maybe you're right. Maybe we're naive, she started, feeling the support of her community behind her. But we believe in each other. No matter how much you try to intimidate us, we will rise together. You can't buy our spirit. Todd nodded vigorously, his own spirit reignited. And we won't stop until everyone in Maplewood sees how much we care. You think you have power? We've got something much bigger. Jenkins surveyed them with a sneer, his confidence wavering slightly. Well, then, let's see how far that spirit takes you. Good luck, he said, turning on his heel and striding toward the door. But before he exited, he paused, glancing back over his shoulder. Oh, and don't think I won't be watching. This isn't over yet. The door swung shut behind him, and the room erupted with murmurs. Relieved yet Unsettled by the confrontation that just unfolded, Sarah stood frozen for a moment, her heart racing. "We need to act fast," she said finally, shaking off Jenkins's unsettling presence. "Let's put our rally plan into motion. We need to show him and everyone else that Maplewood isn't scared. We have something worth fighting for." Eager nods and murmurs of agreement echoed around the group, reclaiming their energy. Yet, as they began tossing around new ideas and strategies, Sarah couldn't shake the weight of Jenkins's threats. Would they really be able to support each other against an opponent who seemed to know every weak spot? As her thoughts spiraled, she caught Emily's eye. The girl smiled brightly back at her, a small reminder of hope sparking anew. They could do this. They had each other and the whole community behind them. But as they brainstormed in excitement, a thought nagged at Sarah's mind. Was their passion and unity enough to stand against Jenkins's dark influence? The uncertainty loomed larger than ever as they prepared to meet the challenge head-on. The battle lines were drawn, and the future of Maplewood hung delicately in the balance. Would they have the strength to face it? With the festival just around the corner and Jenkins lurking in the shadows, Sarah knew the next chapter of their story was about to unfold. What new challenges awaited them now? The day of the Maplewood Festival dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling warm, golden light across the town square, illuminating the hope, excitement, and perhaps a hint of lingering anxiety that vibrated in the air. Sarah stood at the edge of the festival grounds, her heart pounding like a drum. It was finally happening. The townsfolk set up booths, art displays, and stages. Music floated through the air, intertwining with laughter and chatter. For a moment, Sarah was overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of it all, each smiling face, each vibrant color, a testament to the fight they had waged. "Look, Mom, they put up my poster," Emily squealed, pointing to a colorful display board showcasing the community events. Sarah beamed. It was a reminder that this wasn't simply an event. It was a labor of love that had blossomed under the weight of their dreams. But just as quickly, a familiar shadow fell over her. Mr. Jenkins stood across the way, arms crossed, watching with an unreadable expression. The sting of his earlier threats resurfaced, lurking just under the surface. Could he really have sabotaged their efforts? "Mom, let's go check the booth." Emily tugged at her arm, bringing her back to the moment. Together, they wove through the gathering crowd, where community members high-fived, chatted, and cheered. Each activity drawing them closer to that sense of unity. As the hours rolled on, the festival thrived. From the talent show, where local musicians showcased raw brilliance, to the art exhibits featuring children's imagination, it all radiated joy. Sarah's heart swelled with pride watching Emily sing, vibrant and fearless on stage. But just as the festival reached its heights, the atmosphere shifted. Sarah noticed a commotion at the center stage. Voices grew louder, and her stomach twisted at the sight of Mr. Jenkins, standing tall with an entourage of his supporters. "People of Maplewood," he called out, cutting through the lightheartedness like a knife. "Is this the future of our town, a festival that distracts while we face grim realities? You're wasting your efforts." Gasps echoed around her, but rather than feeling the dreaded sinking of hope, Sarah felt something else. Anger. Enough. She shouted, her voice rising as she stepped forward into the crowd, determined. This is about more than just fun. This is what we can achieve when we come together. We won't let you dictate what we are or what we can be. People murmured agreement, and she caught Emily watching, eyes wide with pride and fear. But Sarah knew they had to stand firm. Jenkins scoffed, challenging, "You really think this little fairy tale will persuade anyone? People care about their jobs, their livelihoods, but we care about our community." Tom's voice rang out, stepping alongside Sarah. "This festival isn't just fun. It's a way for us to rebound as a town. We support each other through art, creativity, and experiences that connect us." Mori joined in around, drawing strengths from Hirada's resolve. Faces lit with support, determination sparking in their eyes. "They won't listen to your hollow threats anymore, Jenkins," Carla shouted, stepping out from the crowd, microphone in hand. "We're tired of living in fear of your intimidation." "Oh, please," Jenkins retorted, but his tone wavered. He couldn't ignore the swell of energy rising before him. In that moment it became clear the heart of Maplewood was beating louder than Jenkins's venomous words. Sarah's fear transformed into fierce clarity. Maplewood is going to thrive because we choose to stand together. Cheers erupted from the crowd, a tidal wave of collective spirit drowning out Jenkins's disdain. Yes, people shouted, fists pumped high into the air. Emily was grinning widely, radiant and unafraid, standing beside her mother full of hope. As Jenkins's bravado faltered, Sarah felt empowered. This festival shows that we can take on challenges together. We are the lifeblood of Maplewood. With that declaration, a wave of newfound energy washed over the crowd. Applause and shouts of agreement resonated, signaling a realization that had been simmering beneath the surface. Jenkins's expression darkened, but now he was the outsider. The force of community had become a powerful shield, and they dared to challenge the fear he represented. In that instant, Sarah realized this festival was only a beginning. Their journey didn't end here. Beyond the food, music, and laughter, they had ignited a spark of resilience that would echo through the town long after the final applause. As the day rolled into night, with the festival in full swing and lights twinkling like stars, Sarah and Emily stood backstage, watching the culmination of everything they had worked for. "We really did it, Mom." Emily squealed childlike, joy radiating from her every word. "Look how many people came together." Sarah wrapped her arms around her daughter in a hug that filled her heart with warmth and gratitude. "You inspired me, Em. You always have. This festival is just the start of what we can do together." As they gazed out at their community, Sarah felt a rush of hope. Despite the challenges ahead, Maplewood stood united. The shadows of doubt had been lifted, and the vibrant heart of their town pulsed boldly through the night. They had reclaimed their dreams. Together, they could face whatever came next. This was the moment. With that spirit still buzzing in the air, Sarah turned to the camera operator, heart aflame with purpose. "Now's the time for all of you to rally behind us. Subscribe to this channel right now to keep following our story. It's the perfect time to show your support." As she gestured, Emily chimed in, "And leave a like. It helps us reach more people, showing that arts matter." Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this energy and transformation. Together, we can create change. With radiant smiles, they stood firm, faces illuminated with hope, ready to keep inspiring the world.